So we're going to talk about connecting through the veil, and that's something that all of you want to know about. And of course, it's a subject that we're all living. Those of us who are attempting to connect with a loved one on the other side. It's what I've been trying to do for over 2 years with Alan, and it will always be something that is my main focus, our main focus with our work and everything. So if you notice, I'm wearing red because Alan is been lately all about, Pam, would you wear more red? And so I'm even made our name red instead of the mauve color that it was before. He's just into red right now. It's so funny when he crossed over. That was his big thing. Red, red, red for passion and love. But I'm telling him that's enough about you and us. Now let's talk about them or all of us. So when it comes to connecting through the veil, this is a huge subject, and I can't guarantee that you follow what I'm telling you and you'll make contact. This is a journey. I always say that. This is an incremental journey that takes time. I wish there was a fast track, and maybe a few people have that experience, but by and large, I don't believe that's going to be the case, because this is a journey that involves you spiritually awakening. Okay, so if you're already doing that or have been doing that, then you're a bit ahead of the game, so to speak. Not that this is a game, but I think you know what I mean. You're a bit ahead of the curve because you've been working on your spiritual connection. You've been working on awakening your soul and becoming more spiritual. So, okay, Alan's saying, let's explain what does spiritual mean. Let's talk about what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean religion. You're welcome to have a religion. We're not putting down anybody's religion. If it works for you, great. If it helps you, great. If it doesn't, set it aside, because religions are all man-made. That's a whole other conversation. But when we're talking about spiritual, we're talking about understanding that you are a spirit, and that so is your loved one. So is everybody. We're spirits in a body. The only difference is your loved one now has dropped their body and they've returned to who they've always been, a spirit. But so are you. Right now, you're a spirit being that happens to have a body. That's the only difference. They're just as alive on the other side, doing things that we do here and more, because over there's just more choices. But they're still alive, and still, he's laughing, saying, getting together for dinner, having birthday parties, going out in nature, exploring new terrain, because he's showing me vistas and places that we can't even imagine. Okay, so they're fully alive. They can still be with us while they're exploring the other side. This is what some of you don't seem to understand. This is not really talked about a lot, even in mediumship. I've only heard one medium so far. I'm sure there are others. I only heard one medium so far talking about the fact that souls are multidimensional. Even now, while you're in a body, you're multidimensional. You can go other places. You're having other experiences. I know that's kind of mind-boggling for those of you who are new to these concepts, but if you really do some research, this is true. This is the reality of who you are. So you're a soul, just like your loved one on the other side, right? You're a spirit, just like your loved one on the other side. You're multidimensional, just like your loved one on the other side, which means you can be anywhere you want. You just don't remember, because if you did that, you would have a hard time living in the 3D world, which is already hard enough to navigate. So you conveniently don't remember that. But some people do start remembering that. I'm starting to remember that a little bit. But it would be really confusing if you're aware of all the other places that you're visiting or that you are living, where you're existing. Now, on the other side, they don't have a problem with that. That's why they can be with us and simultaneously maybe go visit their mother or their children if there's some other location, or whoever they want to visit, go wherever they want to go. Alan has said to me so many times that if he chose to, he could be with 1 million people while still being with me. And that means so can your loved one. Whatever he can do, pretty much any soul can do. Can they all do it right now? Not necessarily. Some of them can do more than what Alan can do. There's no comparison here. I'm just trying to show you what is possible for them, what they're doing, which means they can still stay with us. Alan is always here with me. He promised me that even the times when he kind of backed away or seemed to back away, he wasn't really gone. It's just that he pulled away from my perception, and for various reasons that we explain in our book. But that's a whole other story again, a whole other book. And the point I'm trying to make is that they can be with you and still do whatever they want to do. So for any medium to tell you you're holding your loved one back because they need to move on is BS. Okay? It's a lie. That medium doesn't know what he or she is talking about. And unfortunately, that's the case for a lot of them. They just don't know. Whoever taught them didn't know either. So you got to be really careful where you're getting your information and understand that a lot of the information that's gone around, especially he's Alan's saying, especially if they study the books to understand. I've heard other mediums say this too, that a lot of the information in books is flawed, was based on beliefs at the time. So you actually not such a good idea to go so into the books. Or if you're going to do that, okay, he's telling me if you're going to do that, wait until you're more connected with your guide and your spirit team who can guide you as to what to read, because there's just so much out there. You're going to get lost in the maze of it all, and you won't even know if what you're reading is true. So better for you to get connected to your spirit team, to your guide, and let them do the sifting of it for you, because you'll get a feeling like, oh, I think I should read this book. They'll give you that feeling. Go back to your loved one. They give us feelings and impressions. They put ideas in our minds. It's really easy for spirit to do that. I've said this before. I'll probably say it till the end of time. Spirit has been planting messages into people's minds, whether loved ones or strangers or whoever, to support and positively influence them from the beginning. If they hadn't done that, this planet would have self-destructed eons ago. Okay, just think about it. All the things that could potentially go wrong. I mean, you think things don't look so good right now? Well, it's only okay. Alan's making jokes now. He's saying the world is held in place by duct tape that's lent from the spirit world, just saying, okay, we gotta keep these guys from blowing themselves up. We're not gonna let that happen. And they really do work that hard to manage everything here. Okay, so your loved one is there. Your loved one can communicate with you. Chances are your loved one, and he's nodding up and down as I see him nodding like this, like vigorously. They've been telling you thoughts and messages constantly since they left. Almost all of them, he's telling me 98% of them. I don't know who the 2% would be, but 98% of them, when they cross over, they don't fully get that they're gone. So they're there talking to us, going, hey, can you hear me? Like, why can't you hear me? And they're very frustrated that they can't get through to us. Okay. So, and don't feel bad. Of course, they later understand, oh, I'm dead. Okay, some of them don't know they're dead. Some of them do know, like Alan did. He knew. He passed consciously. He knew where he was going. He knew he was on the other side. But some people, they cross so suddenly, or something happened right so quickly, or maybe whatever the circumstances were, it was so abrupt that they're kind of surprised, or maybe they just fall asleep and then they wake up and they go, wait a minute, where am I? So they don't always know that they're quote dead. So they'll be standing next to us, literally yelling, hey, what's the matter with you? Can't you hear me? So know that your loved one is with you. Trust the feelings you get, the impressions you get. But that's really the key, to understand that you're likely already seeing them in your mind's eye. Okay, that is clairvoyance. What you think you're imagining in your mind's eye, that is them. Because just like it's easy for them to put a thought into our head, it's easy for them to just project themselves, project what they look like. They can change what they look like. They can look younger, they can look older. Usually they want to look younger. He's saying not that they're vain, although he's saying he's a bit vain, but because when he died, he was like 83 and he was so tired of looking old. So now he wants to look young. But they're all different. They can appear whatever age they want. They can appear even younger, like a child. They can appear fully mature, whatever they want. They can appear like a totally different person. Like Alan appeared to my friend Swati as Donald Trump just to bug the hell out of her. She was like, "Oh God, don't do that to me." Like, yuck. So he was just really being a pest. So they can project themselves whatever they want to. They project themselves. We can't see them if they don't really want to be seen. I want to make that point. So you will only see them if they really want to. The other thing is the other side, they know who can see them, and if you're one of those persons, they may be all over you. They're all like, I don't, there was a movie with Ricky Gervais in it where he had an operation, had anesthesia, and the operation kind of went a little bit screwy, and he ended up waking up being able to see the dead, and the dead all realized that he could see them, so they followed him home. They were in his bedroom, all congregating around him, following home, and wouldn't leave him alone. And in the movie, he walks off to talk to them. And this is the funny part about this is just an aside. It was weird in the movie because he somehow told them something that made them back off, and they never told us in the movie what it was he said, but they did back off. They did, but otherwise they were following him into the elevator, following him into his bedroom, okay, because spirit knows if you can perceive them. Now, and they were following Alan like all the time. So they're there around us. They want to communicate with us, and they can. It's up to us to awaken our soul, because the soul, when it's awakened, has all your gifts, has your intuition. Your conscious mind is not psychic. You're going to hear me say this over and over. The conscious logical mind is completely unpsychic. Your soul is completely psychic. Your soul is who you really are. Your soul is who connects with your loved one in spirit. Soul is who they are, right? So you want to begin to develop your soul. You want to begin to spiritualize your aura, your energy field. You do that by healing your fears, your limiting beliefs, by forgiving others, which basically raises your vibration. So if you're harboring any resentment or ill will toward anyone and you want to connect with your loved one, well, you might want to forgive them. Doesn't mean you have to make friends with them and let them back in your life, because if people are toxic, it's good to keep them up at bay. It's good to, not associate with them. That is appropriate for you to do, but for your sake, so that your vibration remains clear and positive and strong, so that you can have that connection with your loved one, you want to forgive them and let go for your sake, not for their sake. You must trust that you're forgiving them doesn't mean that you're going to let that happen again. You won't let that happen again. That's the thing that people don't understand. We think that we haven't learned from our experiences. And yes, some people don't learn from their experiences, and that's okay. Then they'll keep having the same experience until they learn from it. But by and large, once somebody hurts you, you realize, okay, that doesn't work with that person. And you may be open to forgiving them and maybe even repairing the relationship and going forward, but you might decide this just isn't going to work anymore. So forgiveness of yourself and others, loving yourself and others, all those things. Alan's now saying to me, if you want to connect with your loved one who's technically now an angel, because we're all angels, really, we're all everything, then you want to be like an angel as best you can. Meaning you want to kind of walk a higher path, if you will, right? Of being more, again, forgiving, more compassionate, more loving, but toward yourself as well, not just toward everybody else. You need to give that love to you. It's not about loving everybody else and putting yourself last. You need to put yourself first. You need to take care of yourself. It's not somebody else's job to take care of your feelings. It's your job to take care of yourself and your feelings. And if anybody is toxic in your life, it's best to stay away from them. Love them from afar. You don't have to like their behavior, but you do need to find a way to love them as a soul, because the soul that they are is perfect. The human self that they are is obviously flawed. Okay, so understand that there are two sides to all of us. I have my human self that can still be fearful and worry and all that. And then I have my soul, higher self, whatever you want to call it, that is wiser, more compassionate, that sees the bigger picture. You want to pull more toward that side of you if you want to forge this relationship with your loved one. And I'm not saying you have to do that in order to make contact, because you can, because people who are quite psychic have encounters with the other side all the time. So it's not about that. I'm talking about if you want to have a full emotional connection and feel their love on the deepest level possible, then you've got to emanate that love. Because I promise you that not all psychics feel that depth of love for themselves and others and the other side. Okay, they just don't. A lot of psychics, unfortunately, are and mediums, because they're all really, although they're different, they're pretty much the same because they're working with spirit. Ego is the biggest problem with people who do this work of mediumship. It just is. The ego starts to tell the person that they're special, that their abilities are gifts. These are not gifts. If they are gifts, they're gifts that everybody has, which is true. So if you want to say life is a gift, and we all have been given the gift of life, okay, well, psychic ability is a gift too, that everyone has been given freely. But it's not special. It's not held only for the chosen few. It's something you're born with because you're a soul, and the soul holds those gifts. Okay, although you can develop psychic ability outside of connecting with the soul, then Alan is showing me that then that's power, that's raw power, that's not being, let's say, governed wisely by the soul. And we all know what raw power can do. You can just look at Russia to see what brute force and raw power can do, as opposed to guided efforts, he says, guided living, spiritual focused living. Okay, that's what you want. You want to start really embracing that, understanding what does that mean to you. Spiritual is not about religion again. It's about understanding that we are all spirits. And if we're all spirits, that means we're all equal. Nobody is better than anyone else. Also, what would be useful, this is a little bit of maybe a taller order for a lot of us, is to understand that diminishing the hold of the ego, spiritual people call it killing the ego, is required if you really want to raise up your vibration as high as possible, which is it's not easy because you still have to live in this world, and your ego's still going to get triggered when somebody is mean to you or something. But the more you can see through the eyes of your soul rather than your ego, and see that that person who's maybe lashing out at you is themselves hurting, because that's the only reason people are mean, is because they're fearful, they're hurting, they're upset. It means that they're distorted. Okay, they're kind of Ellen's saying, think of them like they're a little bit crazy. They're a little bit off in that moment when they said that unkind thing that they said, or did whatever they did that was mean or hurt you in any way. That's not really true them. That's not their soul. That's the human self having the human experience and making a mistake. And haven't we all made mistakes? You know, we're here to do that. So Katerina is asking, talking about seeing, that I mentioned about seeing with your mind's eye, but what about hearing from your head and not your ears? Yeah, hear spirit in your head, in your mind. You hear them in your mind. Okay, you don't hear spirit. Well, you can hear them as a outside of yourself, as a voice outside of you, but that's usually not how it goes. Usually it's an inner voice, an inner hearing. So it can sound like you're talking to yourself. So you have to kind of examine, what is spirit talking to you about? What are they talking about? What is your loved one talking about? And does that, sometimes you can tell by the language used, or the way they're phrasing, or the details of what they're saying, that, oh, that can't be me. I didn't know that, or I don't talk like that, or Alan will use a word that I don't even, not even familiar with, and I'll go, okay, I know that's you. And a lot of times he'll call me, he calls me baby doll, because he knows I kind of don't really 100% like it, which is hilarious to me, because he says, that's why I use that, because I know that's not your favorite name. And when I say it, you're going, oh, and you know you're not going to say that to yourself, because why would you? Why would you use a word that you don't particularly, 100% love? But I love it because of that. Now I love it because of that reason. But that's how you know that, okay, that's you. But really, just lean into it completely and say, all right, this is you. Alan said to me so many times, do you really think I would come back to you, go through all this trouble, and write this book with you, and do all these things, and let you talk to yourself? No. If you're talking to me, I'm talking back. The real question is, are you listening? Did you calm down? And are you listening? Are you chilled out enough to hear me? Are you relaxed enough to hear me? That's what you have to work on. He's saying that 78% of you, that's the problem. That you're not relaxed enough, in the right state of mind to hear the messages from your loved one, or to feel or sense their presence, because you're so distracted. Put down the phone. Better yet, he's saying disconnect from all electronics for 24 hours, spend time with your loved one, and a miracle could happen. Can't guarantee it. Just saying that, if you disconnected from all those distractions, you might be surprised. He's saying to me to suggest to you that to take that whole time off on the weekend, right? Take a weekend and unplug from everything and everybody. Like no TV, no screens at all. No TV, no laptop, no phone. Like turn it all off and just be with your loved one. He said, you'll be surprised what happens. And if possible, go out in nature. I know it's getting chilly right now, and it may not be possible where you are, but if you can, right, like go out in nature, or at least sit somewhere we could see nature, whatever, do your best, but at least unplug from everything. Because he's saying that that energy of the electronics does mess things up a bit. Okay, their communication with us can ebb and flow. It's not always going to be consistent. Well, except for my husband, because he's constantly talking now since we really patch things up. He's like on and on and on and on. And only once in a while does he kind of go quiet. And then I go, are you okay? He says, I'm fine. I'm just watching you. but but then we're a little different, but you can get to that place. I promise you. And then I'm going to say right now, don't come and complain to me that my partner won't shut up. Pam, what do I do about that? Be careful what you wish for, because that can happen where they're just like, well, you told me you wanted me. Alan actually warned me, are you sure you want me to talk to you all the time, because I know at one point you're going to get irritated. I said, I'll take that chance, and I'm not there yet. I won't get there yet. So, but normally there's this ebb and flow, because there are other influences that can make it hard for them to come through, like astrological influences, like energetic influences, like, for example, what's going on in the world. So, for example, we had a hurricane, right? And that disrupted things. People who are sensitive can feel that disruption in the field. We're all connected to this energy field that we're all part of, the collective consciousness of everyone on the earth plane. So when there's something dramatic like a hurricane, and of course there's a war going on, and then there's been COVID going on, and you name it, right? All these things going on, and then there could be what, like a mass killing, like Uvalde, and all those things that impacts us all. You can't expect to be immune to that. You can adjust to it and maybe get around it a bit, and in time, won't be affect you as much. But all of those things either make it easier or harder for them to get through. And then there's the fact that the planet is ascending, the energy is rising, and that just makes people more freaked out. That's why people are kind of getting more irritated. There's all these things happening. You're becoming more sensitive, especially if you've embraced this journey. And he's saying, even if you haven't embraced the journey of your soul, you're still being jostled by the ascension energies. Okay. That's just what happens. Your energy is being kind of shaken to wake up. And most people, of course, are not waking up. And that's why most people are struggling. They don't know what's wrong. They feel depressed. Even if they have whatever they need, they still feel like something's missing. That's a sign, usually, of somebody who's not awakened. Okay, so you're waking up. If you don't want to wake up as a soul, you're going to find this connecting with your loved one either harder. He's telling me intermittent. He's giving me that word intermittent, or challenging, because they are a soul. They are awakened. So they're challenging us. He's saying maybe that's too strong a word. They're inviting us, would be a kinder word to say. They're inviting us to awaken our soul to meet them. That's how we can meet them on what I call the bridge to heaven, or in between the two worlds. We become an awakened soul so that we can then meet them halfway. But you can see that if you didn't do that, if you just stayed in your own human self state, that you couldn't do that. If you're still worried about petty things, you're still complaining about people and feeling that you don't deserve love, or questioning whether your loved one loves you or not, and all those things, that your vibration is just low. It's too low. You can't reach them. You can't. You can have sporadic contact, but this is a two-way effort. It's not about them doing these things to us. There's a lot they can do, but we have to do our share. So it comes again from healing your fears, your issues, your limiting beliefs, and practicing forgiveness of yourself and others, and loving yourself unconditionally, no matter what you have done, or what's going on in your life, or whatever you think your flaws are. You've got to forgive that and get over it. That is still the ego. It's the ego that condemns ourselves. The ego that feels like we're not good enough, or not smart enough, or pretty enough, or not thin enough, or whatever. You've got to shut that part out. You've got to push that ego to the side and just listen to your soul. Your soul loves you unconditionally. You must love that part of yourself. That's who you are, so that you can ignite. He's telling me your soul's fire to be ignited, so that you can merge with your loved one, because that is what we can do, is merge on a soul level with our loved one while we're still in a body. That's what Alan and I did. It didn't mean all our problems went away overnight because of that, but it certainly, we turned the corner in a big way in our relationship and got a lot more connected and stronger. And after that also, I don't miss him anymore. I don't know what that even feels like anymore, to miss him. I woke up one morning and I just felt complete, and I knew he was with me. I could feel him, hear him, see him in my mind's eye, and always he's there. And it doesn't mean I still don't have moments, because I'm a human self, right? Where if I go into more of my human self, that I kind of start feeling a little disconnected. But the difference is, I know that's temporary and an illusion. I know how to work myself back into feeling connected. Because while you're in a body, you're still going to have moments when you made the mistake of maybe watching the news and going, "Oh my God, what's going on in the world? Oh my God, da 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 da," right? And yes, there's a lot of things, horrible things happening in the world. But if I start identifying more with the human drama and I lower my vibration, then I feel more disconnected from Alan, which is an illusion because we're merged. But I have the power to disconnect or have the illusion of disconnection. That's how powerful I am. So are you. So you can rise above all that. You can. And it takes time. So yes, you can connect with them, see them in your mind's eye, know that's real, get used to that, get used to see what flashes in your mind's eye. And again, but if they go quiet, don't panic. Now, if some of you might be trying to connect with a loved one that has been gone for quite a while, and maybe you've tried to connect and you're not getting anywhere. I can't say for sure without doing a reading, like why that is. There are many reasons why, but what Alan told me when I asked him the question, he says, generally, if they're not responding, there is a higher reason for it, and we must trust that because they're not going to do anything deliberately to ever hurt us. They just don't do that. Okay, they don't. They love us unconditionally. They don't judge us. You cannot disappoint them. You can't really hurt their feelings. They understand why you're doing now what you're doing, what you did in the past, if you may have hurt them. We all have been hurt and hurt others. They understand all that. They've forgiven us long ago, as soon as they had their life review, because they understood why we did what we did. So once they understood it, they go, "Oh, well, there's nothing to forgive." And they realize there's nothing to forgive anyway from the beginning because we're on the earth plane to make those mistakes and learn from them and grow from them. And the mistake that we made, however we hurt them, was something that they could grow from too. Okay, we're not here to have only the sweet, perfect experiences. We're just not. And Alice says nobody is in this world and doesn't suffer something. Something. Think about it. Does anybody get away without suffering something, even if it's like their cat dying, or certainly their loved one dying, or somebody hurting them? I mean, it's impossible. So they love us. They want only what's good for us. They know us better than we know ourselves. I mean that because they can read our thoughts. They know who we are on a soul level. Even if you right now don't know who you are completely on a soul level, your loved one does because they see you totally. And they don't care what you look like physically. They don't, because some might say, "Oh, well, I gained 20 pounds since you passed," or whatever, or I'm older, or whatever. They don't care about any of that. Means nothing. You cannot disappoint them. You cannot hurt their feelings. They can feel concerned about you because they see you struggling, and so they might feel bad, like, "I wish I was there. I feel guilty that I wasn't a better partner," or what have you, but they're not gonna be upset at us, okay? Really. They might be upset with themselves a little bit, but now he's saying, never are they upset at us. Never. And he's showing me that in capital letters because they're pure love now. And yes, they have their personality, and their personality might have been somebody that was, I don't know, maybe flippant or seemed to be uncaring or whatever. But no, that wasn't, they're loving now, and they see the broader view. And they see us as a soul, see us as perfect, even though as humans we're flawed. So please stop beating yourself up or saying, "Oh, I hope he or she isn't upset with me about this and that." That's your ego. That is your ego talking. And Alan's saying that's bull. Stop listening to your ego and listen to your soul. As soon as you have those negative thoughts, connect with your soul. Don't just let that negative voice talk and try to spin your mind into a negative frame work, right? Like let go. Stop it, meditate, connect with your soul. I mean, next week we will more talk about things that you can do, like sitting in the power. Sitting in the power, I just mentioned really briefly. Sitting in the power, some people think it's about you sit in the power to connect with spirit, but that's not really the case. You sit in the power to build your power, to connect with your soul, to really connect with the soul and connect with all that is, connect with all just universe, universal love, whatever you want to call it. That is what sitting in the power is. And when you after you sit in the power, then you can utilize that energy that you've now built, that you've gathered, and you can use that to connect with your guide or your angels or your spirit team and your loved one. Okay. So we'll talk more about that next week, like lead you into experience of that. We just kind of wanted to lay the foundation for that today. But it all starts by you just understanding they're already here, they're already talking to you. You gotta chill out. He really likes the idea, the suggestion of unplugging for a weekend, or at least one day, at least 24 hours. He says, try 24 hours, and if you like that, or if you feel like you didn't quite get anywhere, you might need a longer period of time, right? Like a weekend. And just with the intention of just being with them. Like that's it, just being with them. That everything you're doing consciously with them. Like you're maybe making breakfast and you're making them a little plate with your breakfast and you're saying, we're having breakfast together, honey, and doing all these things, deliberately and consciously inviting them in without any distraction. He's saying that this is your homework from now until next week. Like do that at least 24 hours, like somewhere. Weekend if you can fit that in, but at least 24 hours where all you do is focus on your loved one. Don't they deserve that? Don't you deserve that? Isn't your relationship worth that if that's what you want to strengthen? Surely that can't be too much to ask. 24 hours, whatever day that might be, okay, that you put he's showing me literally putting the phone in a drawer, like, or somewhere out of reach, right? That everything is no electronics, no TV, no, nothing, like no screen in front of me. Okay, that he says you can listen to music if it's a stereo, not your phone, right? Not like you're hitting your phone. Stay away from the phone. That you just listen to the music on a CD or something, or even on the radio. Yes, and Yvonne's just saying, he's got to talk about sitting in the power. Sitting in the power is just really connecting with all that is, with your soul. And you can just do it for 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can go on YouTube and find some meditation things. I have one that I kind of like, but even that one I don't do all the time. I just sit quietly and just be with no intention, but to just be with my soul. This is how you start to really awaken your soul and blend with that part of you. And Marie's saying how to do LHC without electronics. Well, you can do LHC without electronics for one day. I mean, you can do without LHC for a day. You don't need to do it every day. So just try that and see what happens and report back to us in the group. So I love this. I'm gonna have to. I heard my husband say, "Pay attention." Yes, yes. Alan's saying, you know how annoyed they get that we're always talking about, but I want to hear him, I want to see him, or whatever, and they go, "Well, she's not listening to me. I'm here talking away, and she's not listening to me." And he does that to me too, and he'll do things like make my phone start kind of misfiring. It just starts to do weird stuff, and I go, okay, I know you want me to go to sleep, or you want me to listen to you or something. Yes, please. or he'll make my monitor, because I usually work on a monitor hooked up to my laptop. He'll make the monitor stop working. You know, spirit can do that. Angels can do that. Alan can do that. Your loved one can do stuff like that. So yeah, they say, pay attention to me. Listen to me. He says, yes. So try to carve out that 24 hours somewhere and let us know what happens. And he's saying, call it your date night or your date day, I guess, for 24 hours. And just see what happens. And if you like it, keep going. Keep doing it every week or something. Okay. But he says, yeah, that would be the ultimate date night. That is 24 hours with no electronics, just you and them. And now he's showing me a bed. That's his favorite place to talk to me, is in bed. But it doesn't always have to be 24 hours in bed, obviously, but together, right? Together, going for a walk, or even going for a meal maybe, or whatever it is, but that you spend 24 hours just linking with your loved one, with your loved one, and maybe writing down what they're telling you so you don't forget, because they start giving you messages. He's showing me, yeah, you could start the day by having breakfast together and then saying, all right, let me talk to you. I'm going to write what you're telling me. And you write something in your journal. You just say, what do you want me to know? And you just start writing whatever comes to you. Whatever comes to you, and write for as long as you feel like it. Let them communicate that way, but don't leave it to just that. You can also just, meditate and say, okay, I invite you in, like, and see what they want to tell you something, or if they show you something, and just go with that. So we're going to leave you on that high note. We're going to leave you with that homework, and we're going to come back to this next week and review some of this and add a bit more, and also take you on an exercise of, Alan's saying, we're going to take you on a journey of sitting with your power for 10 minutes, and then seeing if we can help you to sense your loved one. Okay. Because what I know to be true is that there's greater power when we work together as a group, when we work one-on-one or by ourselves even. Although working by yourself is still very powerful. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But when we come together like this, and Alan is saying, and our loved ones on this side are coming together too, right? So we have two groups, one in spirit, one here. So the energy is just through the roof. So we can use that energy, leverage that energy to make contact in a deeper way, which is why we're going to work with people more in depth in our program as a group rather than one-on-one. That's what Spirit told me today, actually. They really came through strong and said that I needed to understand that the work I was here to do was going to be group based, because they said that I've developed the ability to really work the group energy. I've been working with groups for a long time now. So he said, and a lot of teachers can do that, but not all of them can. And then of course there's Alan on the other side. So anyway, I know Heather. She says, I wish we could do these in a Zoom so we can be on camera and interact. Yes, we'll do some of that. We'll do some of that. And when we get ready to launch our program, we will be doing, I don't know if I'm calling it a master class. I don't know what I'm going to call it, or a 3-day challenge or something like that. We're going to be doing that through Zoom. We'll be in a Zoom room that'll be streamed to Facebook, but we'll be in a Zoom room where if you log onto that we can more interact. And I'm going to take you through kind of a journey for that time, just to show you what our program will do for you. So those of you who want to jump into that will know what that's about. So that's coming later. It's not coming too far. I mean, it's coming pretty soon, so you won't have to wait that long. But in the meantime, take that 24 hours and let me know. Right, Marie's saying physical mediumship involves groups. Right, it does, and he's just telling me that the whole energy of where we're at right now with the Ascension is actually a group energy anyway. It's all about group. That humankind is supposed to come together as group. not in isolation. We go back into isolation for certain things, obviously. We can't always be in groups, but we are meant to more connect on a group level. So we will. All right, so that's your assignment. And let us know. I'm going to put a post in the group and say, all right, how did your 24-hour date night go? and and Alan, of course, Alan is picking on me and going, and are we going to have one, Pam? I said, as soon as I can. I've got to get the revisions in. So as soon as I get those in, yes, honey. But until then, no, you know. So, all right. So that's your homework, and let us know how it goes. Until next time, just trust and believe, right? That's all you need. All you need is love and trust and believe. And then you can move mountains with that. All right. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us today. Take care till next time.